Okay. Welcome everyone to the 12th session of council. That's Monday, June 12th, 2023. In-person meetings have resumed with a hybrid format where members of council and the public can still join virtually via Zoom. The meeting is being live streamed and recorded and will be available on the township website. All rules apply to the meeting as if anyone attending in person, as if everyone was attending in person. And if there was a problem with the technology impacting the proceedings of the meeting may be recessed at the direction of the mayor to confirm that the electronic format is performing effectively before proceeding further with the agenda. In the event of a connection or service disruption to the attending electronically, the mayor may recess the meeting to allow for attempts to reconnect. We have already called the meeting to order at 6 p.m. We've been in closed session since then. And I would just note that Deputy Mayor Townsend is virtual or not in the audience. You won't see him up here at the diocese. He is representing Lennox and Addington County in Toronto this evening at the AGM for the Association of Local Public Health Authorities as part of the KFLMA board. And this is part of the work that he does on behalf of the county and the township. So, as I mentioned, we were in closed session. We are recessed from closed session. We will be going back in after, so we have nothing to report out at this time. At this time, we will play the national anthem and ask everyone to rise if they can. Please be seated. We acknowledge that we are being hosted on ancestral lands of the Haudenosaunee, Mississauga, and Omama people. We acknowledge and welcome the presence of all Indigenous peoples, including the Métis, Inuit, and other First Nations from across this vast land, who also make this place. The lands we are on today are recognized in the Two-Row Wampum, Dish with One Spoon Treaty, Treaty 27, and the Crawford Treaties. This time we'll move to open forum. The first 15 minutes of any regular council meeting will be set aside for open forum. An individual may address council to voice opinion on subjects that are of municipal concern, excluding members subject to public meetings such as planning act. Can only speak once and for no more than 3 minutes. Notice is hereby provided that under the authority of the Municipal Act 2001 and in accordance with the Ontario Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, that all information provided for or at a public meeting, consultation, or other public process are considered part of the public record. So anyone that was wishing to speak could register in advance, and we will also call for a raised hand from the virtual audience. No one was registered this evening for in person. No hands raised. And there's no hands raised. So with no hands raised, we will proceed. Confirmation of the agenda. That the agenda recommendation is that the agenda of June 12th, 2023 be adopted as circulated. There's no additions to it in the clerk's department. Thank you. Do we have a mover? Councillor Pryor. So moved, seconded by Deputy Mayor Town. All in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is passed. We have no delegations, declaration of pecuniary interest or the general nature thereof. Any declarations this evening? I will just note that in closed, I did declare a declaration of pecuniary interest on the labor relations item 5.1 due to my place of employment. Next is adoption of minutes. We have the minutes of May 23rd before us. Any errors or omissions noted by council? Seeing none, the recommendation is that the minutes of the 11th session, regular council, May 23rd, 2023 be adopted as certain. Do we have a mover? Councillor Ennis, so moved, seconded by Councillor Park. All in favor? There's a hand. Motion is passed. Accessible Transit Services Agreement, Kingston Area Taxi Commission. Staff moving forward, we'll just. Okay. Is there any further information that you wish to share on this item?
Nothing further, Your Worship. We do have the Public Works Manager available virtually if there are detailed questions.
Very good, thank you. So council, we've got the report before us. Were there any questions for clarification prior to taking a motion? Councillor Pryor.
Just through your worship. So I just want to get some of the process down. So we had 288 registered clients. Is that something that's on the website? And how, like, in terms of how's it communicated to people who may use this service?
Through you, Your Worship, we're estimating that we could have that many. We don't have any registered right now. And there will be a fulsome communication plan that is sent out once we have the process in place. It'll be done through as we ramp up to start accommodating public.
And if I could just continue.
Yes, please proceed.
I guess the clear way to put it, is this a short-term gap, or like in terms of Amy's Greenwood, will that continue? Is there a possibility that the Kingston Transit would come back into this process at some point, or is this sort of a long-term agreement?
To Your Worship, this is just a one-year agreement.
Okay.
It can be renewed afterwards. We are still in talks with the Kingston Access bus to see if they could provide that service.
And just one more question. It's a 24/7 service?
I think it runs.
I think that's what I read in the report, but it doesn't correspond, I guess, to the bus hours. That's all I'm querying about.
Through you, Your Worship. Alex, can you you might be able to answer that one better than myself. Sorry, Alex, you're muted.
Sorry, under the agreement, it does reference 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, was the bylaw, the KTC bylaw, provision of these services.
Okay. That's it for me.
Okay, Councillor Willis.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. In the proposed contract, Article 5, it talks about payment for performance and audit, but it doesn't identify where we have the ability to audit to ensure that what we're being charged is services that were actually rendered. Is there a plan for that?
Through you, your worship, yes, there is. We've been working through that process with our finance department and with the spokesperson from KATC.
Thank you.
Any other questions for clarification from council? Seeing none. We have a recommendation before us. It's a report from the Community and Customer Services Department, Public Works Division, dated June 12th, 2023. Reaccessible Transit Services Agreement, Kingston Area Taxi Commission be received, and that the corporation of Olidas Township enter into an agreement with the Kingston Area Taxi Commission as described within the general form and content as Schedule A attached here too, and that the mayor and the chief administrative officer be hereby authorized to execute such agreement on behalf of the corporation of Olidas Township once finalized, and the bylaw 2023-038 be enacted and passed. Do we have a mover for that? Councillor Blueberg, so moved, seconded by Councillor Parks. Mover, any comments?
Sir, it's something I've been kind of working on with the tax commission for about 4 years. And because of this was brought to light 4 years ago, it made some amazing changes with the tax commission. We've had our issues on this with that, but it's a service that I'm a little disappointed it's only area 10, but I know it's a starting point. I'd like to see it for the whole municipality, or Route 10 rather, with the bus service. I'd like to see it for the whole municipality, but if we could improve upon that after the first year, that would be fantastic.
Thank you. Seconder, any comments? Anyone else? Councillor Broderick.
I would just thank Councillor Woodruff for his work on this, and I know that I heard in past election season that this is an issue for more people than we would think, and again, hopefully it'll expand to other areas in the region.
Thank you. Any other comments from council? I would just say that I think it's a great step to be able to do this and become compliant as well under the AODA. So that's a great step for the township. It's 1 year, but we're on our way. Mover, any final comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is passed. Agreement for the construction and maintenance of county roads and bridges. Director and the manager is here still. Any updates or any further comments? Just here for questions?
Yes.
Thank you. So council, any questions for clarification prior to receiving the motion? Councillor Braddock.
To your worship, just a couple of questions. Do we ever return funds under this agreement? Or have we in the past, I guess? I don't know if that's the finance or if we haven't answered that. That's fine. Maybe you could just let me know. And
The manager of Public Works has his hand up.
is it? Okay, sorry.
Probably answer that for you.
I'm not sure if we've actually returned money. Certainly in the last 4 years, we have not. However, we've had at least 2 of the last 3 years where we've been under our allotment and potentially would have to now. I don't believe under with the county that's actually happened or not, but.
Okay, thank you. And just a couple more quick ones. So the $6,000+ per kilometer, is that staff and equipment, or is that just staff? It looks like minor repairs are done by the township. So is that all included, or is equipment?
That would be all equipment, labor, overhead costs.
And can somebody just tell me what road classifications 2, 3, 4, and 5 mean, just for the uneducated?
Two would be the highest class that we have. Class 1, for instance, would be a 401 type road. Class 2 is County Road 2 from about Morven all the way into Kingston, and Taylor Kidd from County Road 6 in. A Class 5 road would be a typical local subdivision road.
Thank you.
And just to follow up on that question with the manager, they mirror the minimum maintenance standards, do they? Classifications?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
The classifications mirror the minimum maintenance standards?
Yes, the class 2 through 5 are based on the MMS legislation from the province.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Ennis.
Thank you, good mayor. The 6,000 and change rate per kilometer, does that contemplate anything other than it's a kilometer is a kilometer is a kilometer, or does it take into account any other factors such as usage?
Currently, the current agreement, it's kilometer is a kilometer. There's no change for classification of the roads. So our class 2 roads have a higher level of maintenance than a class 5. However, when we do the reconciliation at year end, we do use our actual costs, so that would reflect the cost for the additional maintenance.
Thank you.
Any other questions for clarification? I just mentioned to the deputy, if I happen to miss you, please speak up. I'm trying to look at the screen, but my head's pivoting. With no further questions, the recommendation with the report is that the report from the Community and Customer Services Department, Public Works Division, dated June 12th, 2023, re-agreement of the construction and maintenance for county roads and bridges we received for information in that bylaw 2023-025, being a bylaw to authorize the mayor and chief administrative officer to execute an agreement with the county of Lennox and Addington for the construction and maintenance of county roads be enacted and passed, and that Loyalist Township formally requests the county to conduct a review of the county road network, which remains virtually unchanged since amalgamation in 1998. You also include an update the definition of what constitutes a county road, and that staff be directed to complete a fulsome review of the agreement for the construction and maintenance of county roads and bridges to ensure the Loyalist costs to provide the services to the county are satisfactorily captured in the agreement. With that, do we have a mover? Councillor Willis, so moved, seconded by Councillor Parks. Mover, any comments? Seconder, any comments? Any other members? Any comments? Seeing none, call a question. All in favor? There is a hand. Motion is passed. And update on proclamation, public awareness, and flag flying policy. Changing out some staff. Is there anything staff wish to update in addition to the report, or just here for questions?
Nothing further, just for questions.
You. Council, any questions regarding this report? Councillor Willis.
Your worship. I know that it's tradition on the Amherst Island Ferry that if a resident is being buried that day, that the flag is put to half mast. Is that something that should be included in the policy?
Through you, your worship. I believe it's covered under a direction of the mayor and the deputy mayor of the state. Right now, that's how it's covered.
Okay. Any other questions for clarification? Seeing none, the recommendation is that the report from the Community and Customer Services Department, June 12th, 2023, re-update the proclamation, public awareness, and flag flying policy be received, and that council approve the amended proclamation, public awareness, and flag flying policy as presented, and that bylaw 2023-041, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2020-059, be enacted and passed. Do we have a mover? Deputy Mayor, so moved, seconded by Councillor Pryor. Mover, any comments?
Yeah, through you, your worship. I thank staff for this. I think actually naming those particular events is appropriate for the reasons outlined in the report. I think staff have done a great job in our communications in communicating out the reasons for when a flag is at half-mast, which I think we need to continue to do so that the symbol continues to have practical meaning. And I think following along with what Heritage Canada and the Government of Canada do in terms of protocol is appropriate.
Seconder, any comments? Any other council members? Seeing none. I just want to thank staff as well for bringing this forward. It is a form of respect for typically a sad occasion. And so to be able to have it outlined so we know exactly what to do, even though the clause is there before, especially at the call of the mayor, city or deputy mayor as well. So with that, back to the mover. Any final comments? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Aquatic programming options for township residents. Anything to add with this one?
Just questions.
Just questions. Thank you. Council, any questions regarding this report for clarification? Councillor Brenner.
Through you, your worship, I just have one question. I'm looking at the numbers. Are we getting, in terms of the resident versus non-resident splits, are the numbers of the non-residents higher than they were in a general sense when programs were offered at the WJ?
Thank you. Through you, your worship. It really is dependent on which program it is. Currently, our residents have the ability to register 72 hours prior to non-residents, and then it opens up. A lot of our younger kids swimming programs are filling quickly with our residents. There's usually at least a few spots for non-residents, so it's not completely selling out. These programs that are being offered at Lakeshore are going to be specific to leadership courses, and these are a need in the area. There isn't enough leadership courses, and we haven't offered any since pre-COVID. So we're really hoping to have an uptake, get some people in, and this is really the lifeline to our future staff.
Thank you.
Any other questions for clarification? Seeing none. The recommendation with the report is that the report from the Community and Customer Services Department, Recreation and Facilities Division, dated June 12th, 2023, re-add aquatic programming options for township residents. Update be received, and then staff be directed to negotiate agreements with regional aquatic facility operators for use of their aquatic facilities and or aquatic programming partnerships as outlined in this report, and that council delegates authority to the chief administrative officer to execute the necessary agreements. Do we have a mover? Councillor Ennis. So moved, seconded by Councillor Willis. Mover, any comments?
Thank you. Through the mayor, just like to thank staff for their work in developing these partnerships and continuing them on, and as well the new Lakeshore partnership I think is a great idea, as it's been demonstrated that lifeguards are a bottleneck to offering lessons in this area and probably across the province. So I think it's a great innovative partnership to get at that. I think it's very important for us to continue to offer aquatics through these partnerships, particularly coming out of the pandemic. There was a cohort of kids that didn't have access to aquatics. So anything we can do to keep offering these aquatics, I think we should.
Thank you. Seconder, any comments?
He said it very eloquently.
I agree. Anyone else in council? Any comments? I would just like to echo, thank you for not only continuing the programs, but looking for developing leadership skills. It's an area where talent is very lacking. I think the shutdowns had a part to play with that we had 3 years where we couldn't develop the future leaders. And so we have to try to make it up and try to build the industry back again. So with that, back to the mover for final comment. Nothing, call the question. All those in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is passed. Welcome. So we're at the Babcock Mill phase 2, 3, and 4 plan of subdivision, assumption of 1 foot reserves. We do have staff here. Anything to add to the report or just here for questions?
No, nothing to add, your worship.
You. Council, any questions for clarification? Seeing none, the recommendation with the report is that the report from the Economic Growth and Community Development Services Department, June 12th, 2023. Reed Babcock Mills phases 2, 3, and 4, plan of subdivision, assumption of 1 foot reserve be received, and the bylaw 2023-026 being a bylaw to assume 1 foot reserves described as block 27 on 29M-66, block 66 on plan 29M-64, and block 53 on 29M-56. Do we have a mover? Councillor Broderick, so moved, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Mover, any comments?
No, sir.
Seconder, any comments? Any other member? Being none, call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Notice of motion or direct motion. Is there any direct motion being proposed this evening by council? Saying none, any notice of motion being proposed this evening? Saying none, consent agenda. For the purpose of convenience and for expediting meetings, matters of business that is repetitive and routine nature will be included in the consent agenda and be voted on collectively. A particular matter of business may be singled out from the consent agenda for debate or for a separate vote on the request of the council. In case of a separate vote, the excluded matter of business will be severed from the consent agenda. Each and every matter of business contained in the consent agenda is recorded separately in the minutes of the meeting. Council, any items which you wish to extract from the consent agenda? Seeing none. We have a recommendation that the items of the consent agenda dated June 12th, 2023 be approved as presented and that the necessary action be taken. Do we have a mover? Councillor Wells, so moved, seconded by Councillor Parks. Mover, any comments? None. Seconder? None. Any other members? There was one that I was going to comment on today. Anyway, with that, just yes, my agenda. With no comments, call the question. All in favor, please raise a hand. Motion is passed. Updates from members appointed to county council, committees, or local boards. Are there any updates to bring forward at this time? Councillor Booth.
Just a bit of housekeeping to let everybody know that from 11 till 2 on Wednesday, the Kingston Area Taxi Commission is having an open house at their office on Division Street by the 401. Free barbecue for the industry and anyone wanting to learn about what the tax commission is doing.
Yeah. Any other items to bring forward this time? Councillor Pryor.
Thank you, Your Worship. just wanted to recognize Lauren Damrau, a resident who I grew up with here in the old days of Ernestown, who just passed recently. I'd also like to recognize the staff, because most of them are here tonight who attended the Splash Pad open house. And I'd also want to recognize my sister's 55th birthday, because I'm sure she's watching at her party at home, and wishing you the best. Thank you.
And now you're gonna be afraid to go home.
Couldn't be the first time.
Okay. So that, we'll move to members' privilege. We put that under members' privilege.
Yeah. Sorry.
Any other members' privilege this evening? Councillor Willis.
Through you, your worship, I'd like to offer condolences to the families of Alan Glenn and Marjorie Took, who were both long-term island residents who passed away in the last month. On the flip side, congratulations and thank you to Jim Reed, who retired from his position as a captain on the Amherst Island Ferry after 35 years, and wishing him a long and happy retirement. And finally, recognition of an island or a township resident, Vicki Keith, who is a marathon swimmer. And there was a rock that she touched after her 2005 swim, which was the longest marathon swim. And it has now been put in a special place on the Richardson Beach, and a plaque there in her honor. So congratulations to her.
Very good. Any other members' privilege this evening? I have a few, or one more. I've got condolences to the family of Linda Gray. She's a longtime resident of Violet and a family friend as well. Also condolences to the family of Barry Graham, lifelong resident of the Wilton area, and very well known throughout the community. And also to Carmen Young, the family of Carmen Young. He was a lifetime member of the Odessa Lions Club. He was one of those guys that just helped out in any way possible, no matter what it was. And the local community is certainly a better place due to his attention and willingness to do just about anything that was asked. And on a flip note, I wanted to mention that the outdoor movie night in Odessa, the fairgrounds, it was a great success. I thought we had a great turnout. The popcorn was awesome. And I just wanted to thank the Odessa Agriculture Society and township staff for having this event on this year, and it's going to be on monthly throughout the summer. And also on Saturday morning, I attended the Royal Canadian Sea Cadets Corps Napanee 52nd annual review. It's got Napanee in the name, but it also services the whole surrounding area. So we have members, executive members that are within Loyalist Township as well as cadets. And so they invited me to attend on behalf of Loyalist, which I gladly did. And it's just a great program. It was great to see the youth go through first review since pre-COVID. And they maintained a healthy membership. And it's a great avenue for youth to be prepared with some life lessons. So with that, let's see, members' privilege, confirmatory bylaw. Do we have a mover for the confirmatory bylaw? Councillor Ennis, seconded by Councillor Wells. All in favor? Raise a hand. Motion is passed. The upcoming meeting dates are listed here for the next month. And we'll have to go back into close. So I won't do adjournment at this time. We will just go back in close to pick up where we left off prior to the recess.
We have like a 5 to 10 minute break just before we go back.
Good. So, just scrolling through here, we're back into open session. We just finished closed at 8:18. And we'll pick up where we left off from the recess, and the only thing left is we will report out, rise and report. The close. In continuing interest of transparency in open government, the mayor reported in open session the following outcomes of today's closed session meeting. Closed session minutes of April 11, 2023 were adopted as amended. Direction provided to staff and received information on a proposed and pending acquisition and disposition of land. And the only item left after that is adjournment. Do we have a mover for adjournment? Councillor Ennis, seconded by Deputy Mayor Town. Probably no discussion. Call the question. All in favor? Motion is passed. Thank you. We are adjourned.